Welcome back to Vital Cook. It's the holiday season. I'm sure you are planning those family dinners now. And undoubtedly, there is roast on the menu. It's the festive season, that time of year when we all chase the perfect golden roast. You prep it, season it, slide it into the oven. The outside starts looking beautiful, crisp, and golden. But then you check the inside and it's still not quite there. So you leave it in a little longer, and that's when it happens. The edges start to darken, the skin starts to burn, and suddenly what was meant to be a relaxed holiday roast becomes one of the most stressful things on your already full to-do list. The truth is, a roast can look flawless on the outside and still be uneven, unsafe, or loaded with the high heat compounds you'd rather not have in your holiday meal. But when you understand the science behind what's happening inside your roast, everything changes. Your roast becomes predictable, safer, easier, and almost impossible to mess up. So today, let's take all the myths, the guesswork, and your stress off your plate and unpack what's happening inside that roast. Roasting is a dry heat method. It works by surrounding food with hot air, usually between 400 and 475 degree Fahrenheit, transferring heat by conduction, convection, and radiation. This trio melts fats, swells the starches, and tightens proteins while driving out the moisture. That's how you get a crisp crust and tender inside, which is a signature that only dry heat can create. At these high temperatures, the chemistry gets complicated. The same reactions that makes our food taste amazing can also create some unwanted toxins. So let's understand the fine line of using roasting. Roasting's hallmark is the Maillard reaction, the chemical dance between amino acids and sugars. It's what makes coffee aromatic, bread crusts flavorful, and roasted potatoes irresistible. But here's the flip side. The same reaction produces acrylamides. The darker your crust, the more acrylamide forms. That's why we say golden is your gold, not dark brown. But inside your food, something even more interesting and sometimes beneficial is happening. Inside, roasting transforms structure and nutrition. Proteins coagulate, giving texture and making food safe. Starches partially break down, sometimes forming resistant starch, the kind that helps regulate blood sugar. So roasting isn't destruction, it's controlled transformation. But control is everything here. Too little heat and you don't get the flavor. Too much and the chemistry tips into trouble. At extreme heat, three major harmful compounds appear. Acrylamides are formed from sugars and asparagine in starchy foods. The HCAs or heterocyclic amines forms when amino acids and creatine in meat are cooked above 150 degrees centigrade. The PAHs or polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. They are formed from fat and juices burning and turning into smoke. Each of these forms are formed through a different pathways, but all share the same thing: uncontrolled heat and dryness. There are a couple of smart cooking fixes to manage the process, not just the temperature. We'll look into them now. Soaking potatoes or grains in water help reduce the sugars and the amino acids asparagine, which are the exact precursors for acrylamide formation. Once those are gone, you still get crispness but with far fewer toxins. For meats, antioxidant-rich marinades like herbs like rosemary or thyme, or even beer or white wine are powerful protectors. Their polyphenols donate hydrogen atoms that neutralize the free radicals before they can form the HCS, and the liquid layer keeps the surface cooler. If your oven's smoking, your fat's burning. When fat hits a hot element or flame, it undergoes pyrolysis, forming the PAHs, the same compounds which can be found in cigarette smoke. Use a rack or a drip tray to block that fat hitting the element or the flame, and that will block the chain reaction before it starts. Even with the perfect roasting, what's in your air matters. High heat cooking emits fine particles and gases. Good ventilation, an open window, can cut indoor pollutant exposure by more than half. So, Soak to cut precursors, marinate to block radicals, catch the drips to stop smoke, and vent to protect your lungs. That's how you keep all the flavor in and none of the fallouts. Here are a few small science-backed tweaks that take the stress out of roasting and bring out the best in every dish. First, start with a dry surface. Moisture is the number one barrier to crisp, even browning. Salt early, ideally 12 to 24 hours before roasting. This gives salt time to diffuse inward and help proteins hold on to moisture. Lift your roast off the pan, on a rack or a bed of vegetables. Airflow means more even heat, better browning and no soggy bottoms. For carrots, potatoes and squash, par cook or microwave for a few minutes before roasting. This softens the inside so the outside can brown without burning. Use a high stability oil like avocado, peanut or refined olive oil. These tolerate high heat without breaking down or smoking. For a complete guide on cooking oils and how to choose the right one for your purposes, watch the oil video on the channel. Don't overcrowd the pan. If pieces touch, they steam instead of roasting. For the most predictable results, roast low until you are near your target temperature. Then finish with high heat for crisp skin or caramelization. And finally, rest your roast. The heat evens out, the juices redistribute, and the texture becomes noticeably better. These little tweaks are simple, science-packed, and they make your holiday roast more predictable, more flavorful, and a whole lot less stressful. If tip 1 left you wondering whether you should marinate your meat or pat it dry, here's the simple sequence that gives you maximum flavor, better browning, and lower HCA formation. Start with a marinade. Herbs, spices, lemon, vinegar. These ingredients contain antioxidants that slow down the formation of HCAs during high heat cooking. This is where the health benefits happen. Next, take the meat out of the marinade and gently pat the surface dry. You are not removing the flavor or the antioxidant protection. You are just taking off the excess liquid so the surface can brown properly. If you like, add a tiny amount of stable oil to help even browning. A thin layer is enough. Then roast, low and slow until you are close to your target temperature, and finish hot for that golden crust without burning or overcooking. And finally, rest your roast. Heat evens out, juices redistribute, and the texture becomes beautifully consistent. So remember, marinate, pat dry, roast and rest. This simple sequence gives you flavor, safety and predictable results every single time. Roasting works best for foods that can stand the heat. Dense or high moisture ingredients like root vegetables, squash, cruciferous vegetables, nuts, whole grains, and a larger guard of poultry or fish. The dry heat concentrates natural sugars and intensifies the flavor. But delicate greens, soft fruits, or lean white fish dry out or scorch before they caramelize. Those are better steamed, sautéed, or poached. So choose foods that thrive under the heat and let the oven do its slow golden magic. Roasting is one of the oldest traditions we share, particularly during the festive season. But when we understand the science behind it, our roast becomes a little bit more safer, predictable and stress-free every time. If this video helped you feel more confident about your holiday roast, hit that like button. And please tell me, what are you roasting this season? And also share this video with someone who is roasting this season for their loved ones. Happy roasting and happy holidays!